Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, with our man who knows, the only guy who knows all the community, Mr. OC, John Gutierrez. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, John Gutierrez, Senior Vice President here. And with us again, we have another community leader, an entrepreneur, owner of ASHEY Nadine Bridal Boutique in Costa Mesa. She's also an amazing motivational speaker. She has overcome a challenging past to become a business leader in her community. From a victim turned advocate of human trafficking, as an activist, she works hard to raise awareness of the issue all around the world. Welcome, ASHEY Nadine.
Wow, we're here, John.
That's right.
And I just have to say this, you are such a natural. You have a beautiful gift to connect with people. So I'm grateful to be connected with you, and thank you for this opportunity to come and share and inspire. And just so you know, I want you to know you've inspired me just from the little bit of time I've had to get to know you.
He's blushing already here.
Well, I think it's important we share how we met. You know, we were both at an amazing community event. My good friend, Mr. Big Dave from the NFL, that he's been on our podcast show, has been working with, of course, the school district and to help so many of our kids in the community that are facing a lot of challenges. And it was just a great event where, of course, you were there with a celebrity actor, right?
Right. Yeah. Good friend of mine, Noel G.
That's right. Who many know from Fast and the Furious and all these great movies. And it was just great that we were all there for the right cause. There was 500, of course, of these high school students at Segerstrom High School. My niece actually goes to school there, and she was in the room that day. It was really cool. And that's how we met. We started talking, and it turned out that, of course, now we found out we have mutual friends. Right? It's just,
I love that. And that's how you know, like when there's an intentional connection like that and it just happens very organically, that's where I feel like you're meant to be there. You're meant to connect with that person. And I love that you don't know what the future holds.
Yes.
And so you were just came up right away and you're like, hey, this is who I am, and immediately I was like, wow, like you I wanted to know about you. So
yeah, and it was interesting because you were also sitting at one point behind our good friends Erica from Commercial Bank of California and our friend Sal from Kroger, and I was like, let me introduce you to some of our friends, which are members of our chamber.
Right.
See how he just drops names all the time? He just knows everybody. He does it without even...
We're calling him Mr. OC, correct? That's his new name.
That's it.
Okay.
Well, but it's the power of connecting, right?
It is.
And the reason why I'm sharing this is because that event, one of the centerpieces of that event that I know for months and months we've been discussing with our friends, we're trying to teach a lot of these young kids resilience. That's the word we've been using. And when I started looking into your story, right, and who you are and what you've been through, obviously you're a very successful businesswoman with your Nadine Bridal Boutique in Costa Mesa, which we'll get into, folks. But more than anything, your resilience, right, of your life and what you've been through and obviously how you overcame that and where you are now, which is why I've been telling everybody they had to tune in today to hear your story. And with that, can you share with us your story if you don't mind?
No, I don't at all. I actually grew up in a very beautiful home with both parents. My parents, fortunately, are still together to this day.
That's great.
It is a blessing. I mean, I'm so thankful. I get to watch. My father's very hardworking Mexican man, and he loves my mother. And I got a chance to see that growing up. And then my mother always respected my father. There was times where, she would take a back seat and just to support him because he wanted to be a small business owner. And so I got to see this beautiful example of marriage and love in the home. And I've always desired that since a young girl because I got to see it in person.
That's great.
So I was a great student. I was in cheerleader on the dance team. I got really good grades. And so there was just a night that my parents really trusted me because I was a good kid. And so I stayed the night over at a friend's house, and she wanted to sneak out that night. And she was a single parent, so from a single parent home. And her mother slept upstairs, and then we were downstairs in her room. So it was really easy to leave the home. And so she's like, there's this house party around the corner, let's go. And so we went out that night, and I happened to just meet the wrong people, wrong place, wrong time.
Wow.
Yes. So I ended up being recruited by a trafficker. For human trafficking is real. It's actually the #1 crime in Orange County, if you don't know that.
Wow.
I was 14 at the time, and I was very gullible, and I just believed everything that he said. And so I don't want to go into too much detail, but let's just say,
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Wow.
Yeah, because the reason why I like to bring that up is because people think that it's just happening in other countries, but it's not. It's happening here in the United States and in California. And I grew up in a good home. And so they think, oh, if you come from a broken home, that'll happen to you, or if you live in another country. And so I like to raise awareness to young girls that are around, high school age, to say, hey, be careful who you trust. Be careful where you go. Be careful even of the friends that you have that you're attached to.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have listened to my parents, because they were always telling me they didn't feel right about a certain, person, and I didn't listen.
That's interesting you bring that up, because my wife and I, as you know, you have a daughter in college now. I have a son who's going to go to college. And as a parent, right, it's like your biggest fear, right? We're always talking about our children, and sometimes they give you that look like, you're not going to let me go here. You're not going to let me do this. You remember like when our parents were like that with us, right? And you're like, no, you can't. It's too late. It's a school night, but all my friends are going, and we're all gonna. And it's like, nope, sit down, and you're that bad person, right? And that's what we call tough love, right? As a parent. And so sometimes, the wrong people can guide us the wrong way. And my dad was always a big sayer. He would always say, "Tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are."
Right.
It's an interesting saying in Spanish. It kind of has a different flow. But it's so true, right? Who we surround ourselves with. I mean, look at that situation with you. You would have never imagined that was going to happen.
Never. No, right? because I was, in extracurricular activities, because I got good grades. I was actually a good kid, and like I said, I have a brother, a beautiful family. And so, I went through some very, very hard times as a child, very, very tough times as a child, that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
What helped you overcome that or get over that? Like, what do you feel has helped you in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of people ask that, like, how did you get out of that situation? And I always speak about, you can have good associations and bad associations, good friends and bad friends. And so in the same way that I feel a bad person led me to the wrong place, I also had a good person in my life. And her name is Amanda. I speak of her to this day because I remember her always being so full of love and non-judgmental. And a safe, like for me, safety is big. Like, when I want to be around people that I feel safe with, that I can trust, right? Trustworthiness is huge.
Exactly.
So I decided that I was going to admit or confess everything that was going on in my life, because I had secrets, right? That I wanted to get free from this. And so she was the person that I decided to tell everything to. And she lovingly just told me about her faith in God. And I didn't grow up in a religious home, even though I felt my parents had good morals. But there was something about her sharing her faith, that, because she was just saying, like, God loves you. God loves you. And that made me feel like, okay, there is somebody who cares and knows what I'm going through. And she told me, like, if I give my life to God, that he would help me. And
wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is.
And I think also, I mean, of course, only you know this better, and anybody listening that's going through something like this. When you go through some sort of situation like that, I'm assuming you feel that guilt, that ashamed of, like, I did this to myself, right?
Right.
It's my fault, right? And so the fact that she gave you that message, right, to say, no, it's not your fault. And by the way, you're a great person. You're a good soul, and God's with you, right? Like, that gave you that affirmation to say, you're right? Like, this is true. it's right.
It
I'm
did.
assuming.
No, you're right. You're exactly hitting the soul there, and also I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter at that time.
Wow.
So
you're a young mother. At
I
the
was
time.
I was pregnant when I had this introduction to God, and so I knew I had a decision to make. I knew I could keep my child and go for a whole new life, or I could stay in the lifestyle that I was in and suffer. And I was suffering. I mean, there was so much abuse and unworthiness, like you said, shame and guilt and all these things. But I decided to try something new. And I always say this to people: when the pain outweighs the fear of change.
Yeah.
When you're in so much pain that it outweighs the fear of change, that's when you're ready.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what situation you're in. Maybe it's a different type of situation, but it's so painful and you're so tired of it. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. When that gets so tough, you're ready to change.
Is that what your message is at many of these speaking engagements you do?
That's a great question. It depends, because there's so many different platforms that I speak on, but some of them we go, deeper into the stories. Some of them are just inspirational.
Okay.
But for the most part, I will say that it is a message of hope and resilience, for sure. Because come on, if somebody like me, as a 14-year-old child, can overcome something so horrific and traumatic and believe and have faith that something else can happen, then I believe it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody.
And nowadays, with so much technology and our kids are on this and that, it's so easily for parents it's so easy for our parents and us not knowing what's going on because they're on some sort of technology that somebody's texting them or whatever, recruiting them or whatever this is. Isn't it like back in the day where you went to a party, right?
Oh, yeah.
People don't even go to parties nowadays. It's
Right.
it's weird. It's crazy. It's like everything is. I was just at a friend's restaurant yesterday. He goes, people don't even come to our restaurants on the weekends no more, like our generations, to the club. And I'm like, really? He goes, oh no, we used to have 300 people on a weekend here. Now we're lucky if we have 100 because everybody's on these apps and dating apps and they don't go to parties no more at events. It's weird.
Everything's online,
right? Everything is technology, which also means a lot of the crime is technology, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So there are definitely different tactics, from when I was younger and it happened to me. But I am around a lot of these platforms and connected at very high levels with other organizations that are fighting and combating against human trafficking. And that is one of the main ways that traffickers do reach children is through social media. And so my message is just to be aware. I always say this: if you have a gut feeling, it's a God feeling. It's a warning. It's like, I remember that night I didn't feel like, I felt like, I had a really bad feeling. And I would just say, just listen to those things. Sometimes, you get those with situations or with people or whatever it is. It might be a door that opened and you're like, should I walk through this door or not? And I really feel that God gave us, a sense inside to listen to those warnings, if you will.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to find, obviously, that friend who helped you get through these challenges, right? And I'm so glad that also everything with your daughter has turned out for the better, I hope, right?
Oh, yes.
From what you shared with us off the air, and it's great to see that because, there's nothing better than seeing our kids obviously be successful, and we are their role models, right?
Right.
And so the fact that your daughter's in college now. I mean, kudos to you as a mother.
Thank you. And I've been a single mom this whole time, by the way. And she did get a scholarship. So she got an $84,000 scholarship.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. I'm telling you, there's hope, and, and so she's a very, very smart girl. And also has her own, I feel like this is something that I feel very at peace about, is I don't worry about her making wrong decisions. I might worry about like, oh, I hope nobody, an accident doesn't happen or something like that. But I have enough trust in her to believe that she's gonna maybe if she makes a little bit of a bad decision, she's also gonna maybe correct that. You know what I mean? Like I have peace. That's
great.
There's a peace there.
At what point did you overcome this, and now you're getting into the businesswoman that you
Yeah.
are today. If you can
Yes.
share some of that story.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
So this is very incredible. I decided I wanted to give back because I was so transformed that I said, you know what? How can I give back to people? Because I found something so amazing. And I started a nonprofit organization.
Oh, that's great.
And so what I would do is I would throw these fashion shows because I loved fashion. And I actually worked with America's Next Top Model.
Nice.
And it was just, it was like a very creative way to reach people in the community, but
found
also
your passion.
to bring fashion into it. And so I would throw like charity events to raise awareness for human trafficking, and then we would mix the fashion in there.
That's great.
So one of these particular conferences, there was so much favor. We had the commissioner of Newport Beach supporting us. We had Lamar Billboards donated $40,000 worth of billboards to our conference. Thousands of people showed up to these conferences, and I was on the news. I mean, God just really had his hand on it.
That's awesome.
But what I didn't realize is that there was going to be a miracle that was going to happen after the conference. After this event, I get a phone call from one of my sponsors. Because, during events, you have to get sponsorship. I'm sure you know that about that. It's part of fundraising, correct. Yes. So my title sponsor was a bridal shop. And she calls me 2 weeks after this event. And she says, Ashley, I don't know anybody better than to leave my legacy to. She had been in the bridal industry since 1983. That's before I was even born.
Wow.
You're one person away from your whole life changing.
Yeah.
One person, one phone call, one person away from your whole life changing.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I remember feeling like my life is going to change right now. I just knew it. I knew it inside. I had a very strong feeling. I'm like, no, my life is about to change for the better, know?
Wow.
And so, long story short, my parents were my investors. I'm so grateful for them.
Way to go, parents.
Yes, they invested in me.
So people are listening today, and they're in pain. They're in problems. They're in depression. These are difficult, dark times to work through for many people. What do you say to people? You say it's one away?
Yeah.
I say you're one phone call, one person away, one decision away. For me, it was the decision to give my life over to God. But it was one person that made an introduction, and it was one person that extended a legacy. Everything she worked for, I didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But sometimes there's people, whether you want to call them angels or whatever, people sit in your life to inspire you to do the next thing.
Yes.
And it's really up to us to listen and to, and in essence kind of obey, I guess you could say, obey God's voice or, the leading of God. And so, and take a step of faith, because it's not easy sometimes when what you see, it's like I say this, like sight sometimes is the biggest enemy to vision. Because what you see right now is not the vision and that maybe you see in the future.
Yeah.
So sight can be the biggest enemy. So what do we have to do? We have to walk by faith and not by sight.
Yeah. 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 And when you get this partnership, what happens next? Now you're an entrepreneur. Now you're a businesswoman.
Right.
Was that difficult? Was it a challenge? Were you kind of like, whoa, this is a whole different, now it's different, right?
Right.
I mean, now you own your own business.
Right.
And you're not only that, but in essence, she's passing on her hard work, right? What she's built, her legacy, and saying, here you go. Obviously, she felt enough trust in you from probably what you all had done at this event, right? What was that like for you? Because obviously we have a lot of people that listen and watch that are entrepreneurs. Right.
And honestly, it was challenging. It was very challenging. My first year in business, she gave me the basics, but there was a big learning curve. And I feel that no matter what you do and what you pursue in life, if you can just hold on through the learning curve.
Yeah.
Because anything, whether it's school, business.
There's a learning curve in everything.
Everything.
Yeah. There's a learning curve in everything.
But don't give up before the miracle happens.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go through pain. You're going to go through frustration. You're going to have to figure things out. And this is the microwave generation. I'm sorry, I get so honest because you guys want microwave easy cooking. But sometimes a slow cooked meal and you learning how to put that thing in the oven, is the real lesson.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I would rather have a slow cooked meal than a microwave dinner.
That's right.
Right? So,
That's right.
so
Amen
learning,
to that.
Yeah, learning how to go through that
My
pain.
wife makes that delicious chicken in the oven.
Right.
That's a lot better than some of the fast drive-through chicken, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's true. Life is like that, right? It's, enjoying, right, the process. Obviously, there's going to be challenging times. What would you say having your business has been one of the coolest high points? Or
Sure.
I mean, I know you work with a lot of celebrities and people like that in Hollywood. What would you say was your like aha moment? What would you say that
In
I'm sure
business?
you have a lot, yes, in your business. What would you say that when you look back now you're like, wow?
I would say finding out who I was at the core. Because I think sometimes we take these paths and we think, oh, maybe I want to do this or maybe I want to do that. Like, for example, people change their degrees, you're trying to figure it out.
Yes.
But something for me was I realized that at my core is to inspire and to bring people hope. My middle name actually means hope, and I never knew that. I had to look that up later. My middle name is Nadine. I go by ASHEY Nadine, and
Okay.
and one time I just thought I'm gonna look this up and see what it means. It means hope, and so I know that I'm meant to inspire and to bring people hope.
Yeah.
And once I found that out, it can be through putting someone in their beautiful wedding gown, and dressing them up for their special day, or it can be, hey, you know what, you need a friend, you need me to come pick up some groceries for you, I know you just got out of the hospital. Or it can be, hey, you know what, John, it's time for you to write your book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
That's really at the core. And so it can come in many different avenues, and it can be multifaceted. But the point is when you really find out what you're meant to do and who you are at the core, you can be a world shaker and a change maker.
Yeah. And sometimes, we don't realize that we have that impact or that influence in a positive way with others, right? Or that others look up to us or just watching us from afar. We have a youth chamber that's part of our Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And there's a gentleman, I'm not even sure if he's viewing, sometimes he views the show, but one day he said to me, like out of nowhere, he's like, you're my mentor. And I was like, I am? He's like, yeah. I'm always watching everything you do, John. And he has a lot of energy. Great young man. And when he said that to me, I walked away like, I never realized that some of these young people around us obviously are watching us, right?
Right.
Because we're so busy, right? We're so busy. We're so caught up in everything we're dealing as business owners, leaders, whatever it may be. And sometimes we may forget that there's those around us that are watching us, right?
That's so
and
good.
and maybe trying to learn from us. Because to be honest, when people ask me why I joined the chamber, I always tell people I was looking for mentors at the chamber that could help me become a better business owner, business leader. Because that's something my father, my mother were never business owners.
That's good.
Right? So I was like, okay, now that I own my hospice company with my wife and my sister, where do I find, those people? And I found that at the chamber. I
Right.
found people that managed thousands of people, like,
Right.
corporate people. And I said, I want to learn from them.
That's so good.
That should help me hopefully, pick up some good things here and there. And hopefully I become a better business leader. So, I want to just make sure we touch on the fact that also you've been featured in LA Style magazine, right? Alongside Oprah Winfrey and Les Brown.
Yes.
Named Hero for Change by Amare magazine, which, by the way, George was on our podcast show too. And you've been included among the top 20 women of the year by Deluxe Version magazine. You've also received the Advocacy Award from the mayor of Los Angeles. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Way to
Thank
go,
you.
right?
Thank you
It
so
goes to
much.
show that you've been through some really difficult situations, but hey, look at
Right.
the roses, right?
Yes, very much so. By the grace of God, He's opened up other doors in film and television. I was able to be in a Bank of America commercial as well.
That's right.
But I'm only saying that because I just want people to know that no matter what your background is, you talked about it. You didn't come from a place where maybe you didn't have the best upbringing. Maybe you didn't have a family that was together and could show you. Maybe you're an orphan, but anything that you put your mind to and your belief to, it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah,
It doesn't
especially
matter
if you
the
surround yourself
circumstances.
around the right people, right?
Yes, finding your tribe. That's so good, because for many, sometimes it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you try to dabble in a couple of things. You're like, oh, these aren't my people. You know, or you go into the room and you don't really fit in with certain people. You know,
Exactly.
But yeah, so
Well, it happens, sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
again, we are trying to find our way. There's an old saying my dad in Spanish will say, como corre el agua, how the water flows, right?
Ooh,
Even
I
Bruce
love
Lee
it.
talks about a lot of the water, examples. And that is what is hopefully what we're passing on to our children, right? Watch where you're walking, watch who you're hanging with. And I think we're doing the same thing in our roles
Mm-hmm.
now as business owners, leaders in the community. What is next for you? What do you hope for? What do you think is the next part of your journey? I hear somewhere there's a movie happening. I don't know if we can talk about that, but something's coming down the path of some sort of documentary, right?
yes. So interestingly enough, I was asked to be in a documentary recently, and it's in the editing process right now, so that should be on Netflix.
Okay.
And so that was an amazing project. I can't say too much, but let's just say there's some heavy hitters in that film documentary. I'm so grateful to be a part of that. But I definitely think what's next is going to be a lot more open doors in Hollywood and things of that nature. I feel like that's kind of the path I feel like God is just leading me there. And also speaking. Just recently, this really, really blesses me, because I got to speak on the biggest stage in California. The actual biggest stage in California. Thousands of people were there. But I was in the back in the green room. I thought, this is where, some of the biggest stars, Beyonce was there and Katy Perry, and they all have performed at it's the Peacock Theater. But the stage per square footage is the biggest stage in California.
Wow.
So that was like, I couldn't, when I was there, I was like, I cannot believe I'm on this stage. And so the crowds are kind of growing, the following is growing. But I think that for me, that's what I want to do. I want to inspire at that level of speaking and motivational speaking or preaching or whatever it is. I mean, I go from the churches all the way to, other events as well. So
Just like Les
Yeah.
Brown.
very much.
Right?
Which did I tell you the story about him?
No. We got a quick minute.
Okay,
Let's
quick
go.
minute. Well, no, I was working at a corporate job, and Les Brown was in my 20s. He was the speaker that they hired that day, and he came up to me and he looked at me. He goes, "You have a bright future, young lady." And we had a quick conversation. But Les Brown is actually someone who has spoken into my life at a young age.
And for those of you
Yeah.
viewing or listening, if you don't know who Les Brown is, definitely Google who he is.
Yes.
Obviously one of our, I guess you could say, great minds of our time,
Oh,
right?
very much.
Great motivational speaker, right? And, at the end of the day, again, we run into these key people in our lives that will just change us, move us, inspire us, right? Like you said, Les Brown was right there at that time where you less expected it, right?
Right.
And just looked into your eyes and gave you that message. I want to just remind everybody, you could also visit ASHEYNADINE.com, which is www.ASHLEYNADINE.com. And you could see her story there. You could, there's actually a great video there too, right? From YouTube. And there's just a great bio on her. If you want to connect with, Ashley, she'll be around our chamber events. We're looking to also incorporate her in some of our speaking engagements. But more importantly, visit her website, connect with her. I know you have a very large following on Instagram. Your Instagram is?
It's MS.
So
Miss
MS
Ashley
and then your
Nadine.
name, right? Ashley Nadine.
Where's this? Somebody tweeted and wants to know where the boutique is. Is that an actual store? where
Costa
you go?
Mesa, right?
Yes, it's in Costa Mesa. It's 2915 Red Hill, but they can go to ASHEYNADINEBRIDAL.com.
And it's a
for
store
that.
where what? You'd see different gowns and different things?
It's for bridal gowns, yes.
Okay.
That's where you're going to go buy your daughter's dress, Paul
Oh,
Roberts.
Yes.
please.
Okay?
What do they cost these days? Aren't they expensive?
It's not a quinceañera dress. Okay? Right?
It's not, but we do work with budgets, and then plus, it all depends on who you know. So
See, Paul, you got to know me.
We got to know
I gotta
Mr.
know
OC over here.
Mr. OC.
We gotta know
Come see
something with
Mr.
some
OC. You get a discount. You get a deal. No, but more than anything, folks, for anybody listening, watching, I think it's also important that we never forget that here at the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, it's also about supporting our business owners, right? That's really what we're about. As a chamber, that's our focus is, of course, sharing your story, sharing the struggle, but also supporting you as a business owner. If any of you are looking to obviously purchase a bridal gown for someone in your family, support our local business owners. Because at the end of the day, that's what pays the bills. That's what keeps the lights on, and it gives you the financial freedom to go out into the community and do speaking engagements and be at like this event at the high school, right? Where you have that freedom. If you don't have that financial freedom and you're stuck at the business,
right?
We never meet. You're never here. You never tell the story, right?
That's good.
Sometimes we don't realize, right, that the financial freedom gives you the ability to get out in the community and be a philanthropist.
And is there a website they can see the dresses or see anything like that?
Yeah, that's the one I just gave, right? Ashley Nadine?
Well, that's more for
your...
speaking and things like that. But ASHEYNADINEBRIDAL.com.
There you go.
And then it'll connect you to the bridal Instagram.
Yes.
So there's dresses.
They're connected
there.
both, right? Your personal Instagram, there's a link there I saw.
There is, yes.
To the bridal.
Yes. So even if you find me on personal, you could definitely find the bridal shop as well.
Yes. And from what I hear, I mean, I know we got to go because we're running out of time.
Right.
You've got some pretty big designers that are part of your bridal shop, right?
Yeah, I'll speak on that real quickly. So I am connected now. My main designer is Erin Cole, and she has been actually in the industry for 20 years. So she's got 10 years on me. I've been in it 10 years. She's been in it 20. And you got to respect the elders. You got to respect the people that have done it before you. And so I learned so much from her. But she has, her designs are actually in like Kleinfeld, which is a lot of the ladies know Say Yes to the Dress show.
That's right. Great show.
Yeah, it's a great show. So her designs are there at Kleinfeld.
My wife and I always watch that show. Well, we used to watch it. It's just such a great show. The drama behind it,
Yeah, I won't ruin the real...
Bridezillas? Is that what they call them?
Bridezillas.
They're all stressed out,
We don't have any of those at my store. We don't have
they
any
walk
of that.
in the last minute, right? And they want to find the perfect dress.
Right.
And the people that are trying to find them one, they're like, this is impossible, right?
Yeah, I won't ruin that. The show is the show, but let's just say that her designs are carried at very high-end stores, and so I work directly with her. She is my designer. She is my partner.
That's awesome.
And we would love to help you with your dress.
Maybe one day we can have a mixer there, like an event.
That would be so great.
And we invite like our members of our chamber. Obviously, you got to let us know what the capacity is.
Sure.
And we'll make it by an RSVP. And if people want to come out and kind of get a little tour, meet you, learn about the business, and it'll be fun, right?
It'll be fun. So I love that idea. Thank you.
We'll look to do something like that. That's what we like to do with our business owners. But I know we're out of time, but again, thank you so much for being on our show. We look forward to doing more collaborations with you as a speaker, with you as a business owner, and keep us in the loop as far as anything we can do to help support you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, folks, there you have it on our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where our community is your community. We'll see you next time, folks. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. One more reason, a powerful reason, a couple of them, to tune in each and every time to meet our community. Powered by the Orange County Hispanic Community, Hispanic Chamber, and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.